hoots until they hear my prayer. And they reported to Sirius, the dog star. Now, we want to go into some end-time prophecies to let you know what time it is, and we're going to tell you what is dealing with as far as relationship to melanin. We got a lot of things. Now, 1994, since we're in 1994, the year of total balance and harmony. All balanced and enlightened beings will be here. Now, what do they mean by that? They're not talking about, when they talk about these enlightened beings, they're not talking about the masses of the people. They're talking about that small clique, what the nation used to call the 5%. That is not just taking basic church anymore, where they got to go in there and let a man holler at them and giving you things, you know what I'm saying? You want to know other things. If this man is talking about God and he's a preacher, he should be able to give you other things on a greater level explaining this particular God system. And he should be able to explain John chapter 10, verse 34 to 36, which is one of the most key chapters in your Holy Bible. John chapter 10, verse 34 to 36, where it says, Jesus tells his followers, is it not written in your law that ye are gods? Now, in this it says that total balance will be here. They're talking about the 5%. They're talking about the people that made time out of their daily schedule to come to Melanin Conferences and to go to certain types of lectures. These are the people that they're talking about. Since the class is small, I feel it fitting that I'll give you a certain amount of endeavors that's going on actually when it comes to some things that we have actually tapped in. We're not going to be dealing with, when I started out in 1992, a lot of my things was based on scholarship and based on how much evidence I could get dealing with this particular star system series. You want to get the light testing with you? Yeah. Dealing with this particular star system series. So in 92, I started with that. Since October the 16th of 1993, in the Sphinx Metaphysical Bookstore in Atlanta, Georgia, I hooked up and I met up with a cosmic entity by the name of AWAS. That's A-I-W-A-S-S. AWAS is a tall, blue-black man in his 30s with the face of an African king. This particular AWAS is the head of the Sirius star system. He goes by another name. His Hebrew name is Melchizedek. So those who will be acknowledged. The design from a new human race that comes from Sirius through lots of difficulties. Now, let's break this down. A new race of fourth-dimensional human beings will design a new reality. You vibrate on a lower frequency. When if you read a book called The Holy Kabbalion, which is a book that they took out of the Library of Alexandria, which is the Hermetic or the Tehudian materials. In that book, it tells you that the first law of nature is the law of vibration. Not the Holy Kabbalah, but the Holy Kabbalion. Key book that gives you the laws of the universe. In there, they tell you that the first laws of nature is the law of vibration. The only difference between you and the brothers and sisters that's passed on, that died, is just that you are vibrating at a lower frequency in a physical body. But if you was to raise that vibratory rate, you would actually disappear. So what had happened with them is their particular spirit shedded the physical shell and went to another dimension, or that particular spirit went on another dimension. Now that other dimension is right before you. So this is why you have rituals and different things in the Vodun system, or what you call voodoo, or the Yoruba system, and different things where you would have rituals was nothing but contacting the other side. The other side is actually what is around you. Now, when they say new race of fourth-dimensional humans, they are saying that in actuality, you will go back to the original self when you first got on this planet, when you were dealing more on a spiritual manifestation than a physical manifestation. Because the fact of the matter, this particular true history that we talk about, you got trapped in what is called the fourth dimension, the third dimension, which is the physical. They say man is God in the physical element, which means you are the highest expression of what that God in the heavens is. That means that he expresses himself, but he is so vast that you cannot comprehend him. So they give the universe the archetype of the black man and the black woman and say this is the explanation of that God, the most supreme God in the heavens. You see, this is why you see in your ancient Hemmites or your ancient materials, God is depicted as regular human beings. and especially the god Heru in his younger part, you see him pictured as a little baby with an actual Horus lock. You ever see him with this? His head is got this particular. For those people who don't know, he has a baby. You know, he has his head, and then he has this lock right here. This coming out. Everybody seen that lock? That's called a Heru's lock. That lock is a lock of black hair, and it is also indicating something that's coming within the ear. So it's indicating that this particular lock is not indicating this particular hair. It's indicating something on the inside. And this particular hair is one big granulated strand of melanin. That that black hair is melanated, that carbonated hair. On the inside of him is something on the inside called a black dot. Now, R is also called the Buddha Rupa. Now, the word Buddha Rupa, this is a key word because the white people are going to tell you that melanin, and up to now, most of the people told you that melanin was a key carbonated compound that is dealing with making you, they give you all of those things it can do, but they can never give you the spiritual aspects. The Buddha Rupa, I want to show you some things and explain what this Buddha Rupa is. One of the names for this is called the Akash. Write this down. Anytime you see the word Akash, any Asian material, especially India, if you see this word Akasha, it means black. It means black. We'll get back to what I was talking about before. We got to do some things on melanin. It means black. Now, this word here, the Buddha Rupa. This particular word means the black egg. It means the black egg. This particular egg that they're talking about, the Buddha Rupa, is pure soul. It means pure spirit. Now, we get this on tape. It says, this egg is not only Akasha, which means black. Akasha means the black egg, the element of spirit in the Hindu schools of thought. From these elements are air, water, earth, fire. Not necessarily in that water. So now what they're saying that the stuff that you call melanin, which is the black egg, is not only some Akash that they call the blackness. It's talking about spirit. But they just told you air, water, earth, and fire. Those are all the elements not only of the earth, but of the universe in some form. So that means if you got that in you, you understand what I'm saying? Then you're capable of doing everything out here that the animals are doing. But you're capable of doing all of that because you have the key components and you have all of that if you tap into this particular melanin. Now, the Buddha Rupa is not only Akash, but it is the original egg in the biological sense. The original egg is nothing but the black dot. Okay? In the biological sense. This egg is issued from the lotus. That's why you'll see Heru sometimes in Egypt. You'll see this little baby sitting on the lotus and he has a stump in his mouth. It says it is issued from the lotus. Now, it's a symbol for the Yoni. Now you study what the Yoni is. Y-O-N-I, and then you'll find out what this particular symbol is. There is an Asiatic symbol or an African symbol of the cognate Harpocrates. Now we're getting somewhere. This word Harpocrates. It is the child Heru that sits on the egg. Right. It is the child that's called Harpocrates that sit on the egg. This is another symbol for the melanin. But it's not just talking about the melanin. It is saying that there is a spiritual entity in you that is called the baby of the egg, the pure spirit. And it is inside you. But it is lying dead and dormant. But nevertheless, it is there. It is the pure life and the essence of who you are. Now, it not only says that this particular it says this Harpocrates is in one sense the symbol of the dawn of the Nile. In a psychological phenomenon which accompanies the act of walking. Now, one sees at the other end the octave thought and the connection selection of the symbol of the succession of the royal power described above. The symbol of Harpocrates itself tends to purely be physiological. He is also mythical work of creation. He is the final tetragrammation. Now, this particular tetragrammation that they're talking about, in the Holy Kabbalah, the white Jews that's over in Israel, they're studying the Holy Kabbalah. They understand that this particular part, there's some stuff called the tetragrammaton, or the tetragrammation. And they say it's a certain word that they can utter and they can go straight to the Godhead or go straight to their spiritual self. But what they don't realize is the reason why the Holy Kabbalah has not been able to work for those particular Jews is because the tetragrammaton is none other than the black dot, which is the black egg, and it's also in use. So that means that only black people can utter that particular word. You see what I'm saying? So this is why none of the rituals and none of the stuff work for them. Remember now, all these occult practices and all this stuff that they got, this science, they have had for the last 140 years. But if this stuff actually worked for them, we would actually be in trouble. You see what I'm saying? We see what he's doing, killing us on the physical realm already. What do you think happened if he had our most sacred symbols? And it actually worked for him, we would never be able to get him off the planet. But in actuality, it does not work because he does not have the key battery for it. You understand what I'm saying? It's like a car without a transmission. It ain't going nowhere. You see? So this is the divine hookup of what they're actually talking about. Now, does this mean that the lighter you are, the more melanin you have? Because most people, they're thinking of this particular melanin as being something on the outside. But in actuality, this particular melanin is something on the inside. Like I was saying, you got a whole Druid element in England that built the Stonehenge. Your Celtic Druids, we know that now that these Celtic Druids were none other than black people. You see, because one of their mythologies is the mistress of Isis and Osiris. It's one of their mythologies. And it's none other than these black people. Then we come to find out that these Celtic Druids is the kind of element that's living there now. The great author Gerald Massey that wrote Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, Book of the Beginning, World 1 and 2, and Natural Genesis, his mother was a lineage of a Celtic, or that Celtic type, early Europeans that built Stonehenge. One of the Stonehenge workers, so that means that Gerald Massey was none other than a black man. We even got some other knowledge on the spiritual level that what happened was they went into England, Egypt, and they carted out all this particular stuff. But what had happened was the white Europeans, when they went into the British Museum and started translating this stuff after Rosetta Stone was recorded, they started translating hieroglyphics. They couldn't take what they saw, you see, so they started lying. So what happened was Gerald Massey only got to junior high school. But he was a genius. He was the same equivalent of an Einstein or a 19th century Diop. And Gerald Massey, what had happened, the reason what made him start telling the truth was there was a black angel. It was the goddess Sekhmet. Came to him in the form of a black woman. And she told him, when you go in the British Museum, you tell the truth because you are a black person. You see. And so when he went into the British Museum, he wrote down the actual truth. One of those truths was based on the tomb of Ramesses IV, and Seti I, Ramesses I, where they tell you that the same Yaqub story of the European being created, they actually have it on the temple walls in the temple of Seti I and the tomb of Seti I and the Ramesside kings. Because at that particular time in history, the priest was interested in recording what races were. And they said there was 4 races of men. The Nazi, which is the Nazi, which is the West African, or the Lower African as far as the lower regions. The Ruti, which is your Nile Valley African. The Himmu, which was a Semitic type, but it was not talking about a white person. It was talking about a mulatto. It was talking about nothing but a black person. It was not talking about some other particular person. And then they say the Ruti. Then they said the Tamahu. And then they specifically say that the Tamahu means, Tamil meaning created and Hu meaning white people. White, light, and bright. The Tamahu, you see, for the Egyptian term. And so they said this was what they call the European. Then they say that the Ruti and the Nezi created the Tamahu. Now this is the actual walls off of the walls. Also, you can actually get the same Yakub story that was written about the evil scientist Yakub and all of this particular stuff. The same one, before Elijah Muhammad even talked about it, it was channeled by a woman by the name of Annie Besant in the Theosophical Society in England. In this particular book, The Astro Body by A.E. Powell, gives you the actual Yakub story. But not only that, this particular book goes as far as saying something about a particular European, because they understood that they only had a certain time to lift themselves up. So A.E. Powell, this is C.W. Ledbetter was reading before after the Theosophical Society. And in this book on page 169, he says, this is the Astro Body, one of the key books you must get. He says that when we're talking about ourselves, we are known as what is called an astro shade, or quartz, or astro shell. He said an astro quartz, an astro shell, is known as a shade, is an entity which is not in any sense a real individual at all. Nevertheless, it bears its exact personal appearance. It possesses his memory. Now it says that it possesses your personal appearance, meaning it has 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. You see what I'm saying? You can tell it looks differently because it's a dialectical opposite of what you are in color. But it says also it possesses its memory. So they're talking about intellect. And see, the reason why you have not been able to distinguish with people, because you have been distinguishing people based on intellect. Intellect is the lowest part of the universe. When you distinguish people based on spirituality, then some things are questioned why you would kill billions of people off the earth, kill the animals, kill the earth, and now you're trying to kill space. You understand what I'm saying? It says that his memory, he said it possesses his memory and all his little idiosyncrasies. It may therefore readily be mistaken for him. Talking about the original man. Y'all check? As indeed frequency in seance, it's not curious of any act of interpretation. That means that it automatically does it. That's why you can't spot it. It automatically does it. You see what I'm saying? It's a part of its nature to duplicate you. As far as intellect goes, it must necessarily suppose itself by being an individual. So intellectually, it thinks, well, based on intellect, if we only just monitoring on intellect, it says, I'm just like you. You understand what I'm saying? You can do math problems, I can do math problems. And this is the way they've been fooling you all these years and why you can't get past it. Because you think it's intellect. And it's about spirituality. You see what I'm saying? Oh, take him up in that doggone Baptist church. And when he don't start doing the same damn things you do, then you know things is questioned. Take him on that dance floor. When he don't start doing things you do, you think things is questionable. Now, it is really merely a soulless bundle of the lowest qualities. As far as the length of its life, as a shade varies according the amount of lower material matter that emanates it. Now stop right there. That means that what you see in all of this physical world that you're trying to do, physically, socially, economically, it ain't going to change your problems, because this is the lowest part of the universe, the slowed down vibrations. Because you are a spiritual being, you must go into the spiritual, because we are now evolving back into the original primal spiritual beings. So therefore, this leftover stuff that you built and he's trying to copy is not good enough for you. You have outgrown this realm. So therefore, everybody is trying to look at melanin as some particular chemical thing that they can improve their everyday lives. And now all of a sudden, we are saying the next step, and what the cosmos is saying, the next step is this particular melanin being what is going to evolve you back to the original form of the Godhead. And who does not have melanin when the wrath comes is going to be slaved. Now, okay. Now, but one thing it says that it has nothing in its constitution capable of responding to the good ones. That means you, the original human beings. And the word hue comes from the Stonehenge British word, which was black people. It was the name of the Sphinx. And the Sphinx is also on the number 19, and the number 19 means completion. The Sphinx is also the god Harmocrox, which is also talking about Heru on the horizon, or the word Ra-Heru Kahudi. That's what the Sphinx is. And the word who that you get from human, the word who, the Sphinx which means black people. Who means black, which is the essence of all colors. Then they say that so we are what you call who men, human. You see what I'm saying? Because hue means color, and the who, the key carbon essence of what the actual prototype of what people were supposed to be on this planet was the God who. You see. So Ra, Heru, Kahudi, which is supposed to be the same as the Lord Jesus Christ rising up, it's also talking about Ra, the son, Heru, the child, and Kahudi means the son of the black ones. You see. Ra, Heru, Kahudi is what this particular stuff is actually talking about. Now, what does this mean when it comes to the actual, in relationship to 1995, a new race of fourth-dimensional humans? They're talking about the ones that is able to go into other dimensions with their body and will not be just subjugated to a physical body within the next couple of months. Now, I'm saying this to the people, you can bear with me. See, the beautiful thing about what I'm saying here is this. Yes, there's a lot of people coming and tell you the same old bullshit. You know, everybody got all of this particular stuff, and they tell you the same stuff over and over again. You can bear witness to this. All you got to do is, the whole thing is not for you to believe. The whole thing is to give you a certain amount of plants, some seeds in your head, so when some things go down within the next couple of months, you know what the hell is going on. Because you would have already heard. Number one, what they mean is, this particular earth is going back into its original form. Now, let me explain what's going on here. Just show you, just bear with me. How much time we got?
Enough.
Huh?
No.
Enough. We got enough time. Great. I want to show you this. Now, it says that the insectoid powers, it says here that the insectoid powers fears the black races and have kept them subjugated and confused, while they hold the key to knowledge. Their genetic clan, which means melanin, information is needed to unlock the advanced secrets of Sirius data, the segmented data that unites the Indian clans and some who once were from the original 4 planets of the Sirius star system. This is an actual piece that comes out of a book called Extraterrestrials, Friends and Foe by George C. Andrews. Real good book. Extraterrestrials, Friends and Foe by George C. Andrews. It's a brand new book that's just put out. Every now they got all these old garbage books on UFOs, so that's because the government puts out the propaganda stuff too. So when the great logical stuff come about UFOs, you say, yeah, I believe in that, but then they put out a whole bunch of crazy stuff to counter that and make you keep believing that the stuff is not real. So this is the reason why you don't believe in a lot of things now, because the government also puts out a bunch of garbage books. So you go to the actual metaphysical store and might pull down the wrong book. And you read it and say, oh, this is crazy stuff. It makes your interest of UFOs go out the door. That's the government. The name of this book is George C. Andrews, Extraterrestrials, Friends and Foe, which is, I would say, is probably one of the best new books. The older material that was just from 1954, that just was reprinted in 1992, was the book Other Tongues of the Flesh by George Hunt Williamson, another key book you need to get. Because a lot of these books don't, they don't make no sense. So this is the book that you need to get. And you also need to get the Bible, The Sirius Mystery by Robert Temple. Key book on the Dogon tribe. Now, what has happened is this. This particular earth, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the 10 spheres on the Kabbalah. Now, for you that's not familiar with the Kabbalah is the precursor of the Bible. The Kabbalistic scholars of Zohar that wanted to hide esoteric knowledge because they understood that the world was going to a savage land based on the amount of Europeans taking over and based on the amount of black people forgetting their ancient traditions. They concocted the Bible, the Bible that you know of, the Helios, Biblios, and they put the esoteric codes in the Bible. So yes, you can read the scriptures and get it out. But the esoteric Bible is the Holy Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic Bible. Good book you need to get is this book by William Gray, The Ladder of Life. Step-by-step guide to the Tree of Life and the worlds, 4 worlds of the Kabbalistic, including the angelic archangel realms.
What is the
Ladder of Lights by George G. Gray. Excuse me, William G. Gray. Put out these particular books. Now,
G. Gray?
Yeah, Gray. Gray. Ladder of Lights. Now, in here, you have the Earth, you have Mercury, you have Luna, you have Venus, you have Mars, you have Jupiter, you have you have Saturn, here you have the Sun, you have the Moon. Now, but if you see the Earth is here. Right? Now, show you what has happened is this. You have 7 chakras in your body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the crown chakra. This is the crown chakra up here. This is what you see on the halo on Jesus Christ's head. Now, if it's the same thing in your body, you can get to the same level as Jesus Christ. Because he said in John chapter 10, verse 34 to 36, is it not written in your law that ye are gods too? Or be ye perfect as I am. Now, you can't have 2 perfects. You can only have 1 perfect. If he's saying be ye perfect as I am, he's talking about the exact duplication. Well, the same thing as this here, they're talking about this holy Kabbalah, but the separals are different. But this is nothing but the autonomy of the body of God. Right here you have the root chakra, the navel chakra, the spleen chakra, so it would be a little over here in the real thing. The spleen chakra, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the brow chakra, and the crown chakra. On this tree of life you have the same thing, but earth is the root chakra. And until this root chakra comes all the way up and joins the crown chakra, you can't rise up. So the earth is the root chakra for all of the whole other solar system. Now, on these other solar systems, they are all children, and they all have the same black people that live on the earth, live on Mars, Jupiter, and all the other planets. You see what I'm saying? The white man tells you that the earth is the only planet with life on it. And he is right. Well, he did not tell you that these other planets have life in it, including the earth. In your book of Revelation where it says, man on top of the earth and man in the earth. You see what I'm saying? And it ain't talking about no hell. The white man gave you that about the hell for the simple fact that he understood that the original people, Osiris, or Osiris, God of the perfect black, is the Lord of the underworld. And he understood that that is one part of your heaven. So he tells you hell and gives you a devil down there, because he don't want you to go down there, because he understands one thing. That is his devil. You got to just change things around. Now, our earth is going back to a cosmic central sun. And when it goes into that cosmic central sun, the sun, because you're nothing but a part of the earth, and that particular black dot, which you call melanin, that's in you, that particular black dot that is in you is called melanin. Once our earth goes to that particular one, that black dot is going to ignite in you, and it's going to give you freedom to do everything with your body that you used to do at the times when they said the gods used to walk the earth. Manetto says it was times when the gods used to walk the earth. Now, in here you see another picture of the Kabbalah. But there's a sphere right here called Darth. That is the black dot. You see, this is the sphere that is behind the tree of life, because it's behind this line, which means it's in the back of your head, which is called the medulla oblongata, the mouth of God, where it's the most concentrated part of melanin. And it's called Darth. That's where they get the word Darth Vader on Star Wars. They make him the enemy to the white man on Star Wars, right? Gives him Darth Vader, put him in all black, and gives a black man voice, James Earl Jones, to play Darth Vader. And then they say he's from the Death Star, which is Sirius. That's the European Death Star, because that is the star of judgment. You see, that particular Darth is broken down on the number 13. Number 13. That's why he don't have number 13 in none of his bills. 13 is an unlucky number for the white man, but it's a lucky number for you. Because the 12 disciples of Jesus Christ was 12, and Jesus Christ represented the 13th man, which is talking about the Christ, which is also talking about the star system Sirius, and it's talking about the black dot in you. You see what I'm saying? The black dot in you. Another number for the number of melanin is the number 4, 18. You see what I'm saying? 8 and 1 is 9. 9 and 4 is what? 13. 13. The number of Darth. This number, this particular number of Dah. The word is D-A-A-T-H. Where you get the word Darth Vader from is another number on the Kabbalistic scriptures as melanin. Okay? Which the tree of life in you, when your spiritual centers, your chakras rise up, you go to this particular blackening stage in your head called that particular black dot, and it ignites the crown chakra. So you can't even get to this crown chakra because the crown chakra is nothing but a reflection of the blackness in you. So you can't have pure light until you have the triple blackness of space, and this light radiates based on this black dot. So at the core of every star is this black dot. And every man and every woman is a star. So therefore, you have the black dot in you. But you are a star, and this black dot is laying garnished. But once you ignite this through the spiritual manifestation of things, you will find out this, that you can have the star in the same halo on your head as Jesus Christ had. And Jesus Christ, the Christians just went too far by making him the only Son of God. Jeff, is this stuff making all sense? This the only Son of God. Now, let's move right along because I got some few other things I want to show you. I'm quite sure that they'll make this available to you. Now, so the number 418 is also the number of melanin. It's also an alchemical term. It's called the great works. Let's read what this great works is. Hold on 1 minute. Bear with me 1 minute. Let's see if I can find it. The great works. Let's read what it is. You can write, see what this great works is. To show you. They say great works is a word in alchemy. Al, which means God. Kim, which means black. Alchemy, which means the science of the black God. You see, alchemy, that's what the word, and it comes from Kemet, or Cam, alchemy, and all. And the great work is the ultimate manifestation of that science called alchemy. Now, the science of alchemy was to make supreme souls. But since you had already had it in you, it was not talking about making a soul for you, because you're born with a soul. It was talking about making souls for white people, because they say without the black dot, there is no soul. The soul is black, the primal force of Osir. So when you see the word, when you see Osir, you're talking about melanin. The great works is a primary alchemical term that denotes a bringing of a substance, black substance, and energy to the fullest possible degree of perfection. The so-called transmutation of base metal into gold is the typical example. The great work details the union of the 5 and the 6. And man, God, woman, beast, angel, thus enabling humanity to attain cosmic consciousness. Now, that's talking about that black dot, and they're talking about you raising yourself up to the particular Godhead. Now, in this book here, key book you gotta get, the master books of the English, this guy's a master of the English language, but it's a key book you have to get. Now, in this book, he's talking about the Sufi Muslims that went into Spain, so he's talking about those black Moors. But when you read this book, you got to study this book intensely because he's a master of the English language, so he's going to be saying things, but then again, you can miss it. In this book, he tells you that the Moors went up into Spain, and their primary use was to bring civilization to the Europeans by opening up the 16 universities, the University of Salamanca, remember, which was a copy of the University of Ghana, you see, Guinea and Ghana. And it was also to set up Freemasonry and to bring alchemy, because he says that one of the primary goals was, their real aim was not to make gold of alchemy, that was some mythological thing, but it was to make a non-aberrated man. And the word aberrant, look at the word aberrant in the dictionary. It means abnormal, unusual, unnatural, opposed to normal, usual, and natural. So they brought this particular alchemy. It also says that it was to clean the Aegean stable, which means that his stable was not clean. He also goes so far to say in here that the use of alchemy was to make souls for these particular human beings. And he said, and he'll tell you that the crucial stage of alchemy is called the negrito. Where some of these words we think is negative, they come from Arabic and Egyptian terms, because all of that language was a Middle Eastern language, and it came from that, what you'd call an African language. I want to get with a white man, this Middle East bull jive. And they used to, and the word negrito, which means the crucial blackening stage of alchemy, in the stage called the great works. The negrito, after the negrito, it becomes the great works. So it said that they had to make souls based on alchemy for human beings that they said had not evolved enough. And in this book, the name of the guy is Ernest Scott. People with a Secret. Real key crucial book. I'm going to give you some bibliography today to get some stuff. Now, the reason why you cannot find out about a lot of stuff, because everybody, what you got here is you got a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, they're going and they're getting stuff from the scientific thing. And you can never find out too much about how to take back their planet through the scientific thing, because they understand that the white man rules the scientific thing. He only going to give them, and you're looking at things from an intellectual and a scientific and a chemical way, but you're not looking from a spiritual way. This particular book is called The Introduction to Chaos Magic. Now the key to this thing is, what you're going to find out, that this particular book that they're talking about, they put a lot of the science of the black man and black woman in Satanism. That's why you can't get to it. The stuff that you call it Satanism, now let's just be frank here. You know the white man, if it don't work, he ain't gonna mess with it. He's too, quote unquote, logical, which is intellect, egotistical, to work with something that's not gonna take him nowhere. You know, we worked for 20 years, we do the same old thing that ain't gonna take us nowhere. We about to embark on that again. See what I'm saying? But this stuff is all up. But you got to believe that that white man is in it. He's only doing the stuff that works. If it don't get no result, he trash cans it. You understand what I'm saying? So he's all in this Satan worship. They got all this metaphysical and magical child and all this stuff. You say, ooh, they'll come, ooh. And you don't even understand that the so-called witchcraft that they're talking about, which comes from the mysteries of Isis and what the black woman used to practice on a spiritual thing that they call Wicca, which means the wise one. And so they give you this mythology, all this crazy stuff, because the average Christian won't touch it, and no black people, they won't touch it because you're too scared. So therefore, they can go and they can have all of your science of who you really are in stuff like witchcraft and Satan worship. You see what I'm saying? We got, now see, the key what I'm trying to do here is, we got to become adults now. We can't be scared out of our minds, because this stuff is coming down. When God comes back, you're going to be scared of. You understand what I'm saying? Because they have gotten you on this earth, so you got to become adults now. Now this book, Chaos Magic, it's got a lot of stuff about Satan worship. The person is Adrian Savage. Introduction to Chaos Magic. Adrian Savage. I think the book costs about $6. Chaos. 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 K-H-A-O-S. K-H-A-O-S. Now, what is chaos? I'm sorry. C-H. One of the words chaos is the word that they use in magic. They put a K there, which means magic, and it's also magic with a K.
Right, Adrian.
Adrian Savage.
Adrian.
A-D-R-I-A-N. I guess that's Adrian. Savage. S-A-V-A-G-E. Now listen. Go back and get Richard King's book, African Origins of Biological Psychiatry. He's going to tell you in the book that chaos means what? Chaos means melanin. Yeah. No, true. Chaos means melanin. You see what I'm saying? I don't have a big ego that people can't talk to me in my lecture. You know how this is. I'm talking here, I ain't all that there. We all black people. Chaos means melanin. So when they say chaos magic, they're talking about melanin magic. Little book, the introduction of melanin magic. And in here you see what? You see the pyramid and you see the black dot. This particular spiral, right here you see the pyramid, which represents Sirius, and here is you down here, which one of the symbols for pyramid is melanin. The Great Pyramid in Hemmitt, one of the symbols of it is melanin, or chemware. You see? Or chemware. Now it says chaos is the absence of form and order. They tell you that melanin keeps moving around because it creates. Out of the blackness you were created. Above all words, chaos haunts the Western man, which means it haunts the white man. It fills his mind alligators running through rivers, and men jumping through, giving birth to frogs, and fish flying through glassy clouds. It is the unnamed part of every horror story. The unexpected, the unpredictable, the uncontrollable, the lawless chaos. From the very beginning of his history, the Western man has sought to defeat his most relentless enemies. Chaos. Melanin. You got to understand how to read this stuff. At the end of the book, he says, point blank. In the last word, he says, point blank. Chaos controls. You understand what I'm saying? Now, chaos control. Chaos melanin.
Is that a new book? Is that a new published book? The one you just read?
Yeah, this is new. You can get this at, you can get this book at, let me turn this over. You can get this book at any occult bookstore.
Wiser's,
Magical Child, Esotericals, any occult bookstore. You can find this little book. Only $6, $6.95. Get this particular book. Now, let's go on a little bit because I want to cover some things. How much time we got? Okay, look. Okay, I want to cover some things right quick. I'm going to show you some things that's going on. Let me get my little notes right quick. Y'all bear with me. I got so much. But I said, I just turned it over, brother. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Now, let me go to the notes for you. Now, like I said before, the number 418 is a number of Sirius. Another name of the god Typhon is the god Kim. Amsu Min. Amsumin, which means melanin. Kim means melanin. Now, okay, let's deal with this. The lost children of Israel is Ra and Isis, Ra, Isis, which is Ra, which is the son of the god of the Sirius also, and El, which means not only God, but it means child. You are the lost children of Israel. And Ra, in the book of Hermes Strikes Megistus, is a blue-black god. Check. Ra, Atan, Allah, Jehovah, all that is another name for the same God. There is not but one God. Okay? The lost children, which means black. Okay? Heru has a thumb in his mouth on some of the things. That means silence. That means that the God Hogapros is the Lord of silence. And they're saying that the melanin on the inside is called silence. You see what I'm saying? It's called silence. It's on the inside, which is the most powerful thing, silence. You see, that's why they tell you to really get the melanin stirred up, you got to get silence in meditation. You see? Because the silence is talking about something in another world that you can't hear with your rational mind. They tell you that this particular world that you are in is an illusion. It doesn't exist. You have been hit in the head. So your logical and rational mind is a cheat. It's a cheat. So you have to break away this here because it says that, listen, the universe exists in the mind of God. And every man and every woman is a God, because the same God in heaven rests in you. You're the microcosm of the macrocosm. So if the universe exists in the mind of God, what does that say about man? That the universe is also inside of you. That's why the kingdom of God is within. But it's inside also to the black dot. You see, and when you tap into the black dot, it's like tapping into other doorways of the mind, or doorways of the collective unconsciousness, or doorways to the soul. And once you tap into doorways of the soul, you're going to find out that all of this is an illusion and you can manipulate all of this. Key movie you must go see is the movie The Shadow. Now, I don't know, the movie might be out of theaters. The Shadow? The Shadow. But I don't know, they have dollar cinemas in Atlanta. Yeah. Down south.
Yeah, $2 cinemas in New York City.
And so some of these dollar cinemas, you got to go see the movie The Shadow.
Yeah, it came out.
Now, it should be in the dollar cinemas now, or it should be coming on video soon. But on the movie The Shadow, most people went to go see Alec Baldwin, and they went to go see an action adventure like Batman or Superman. But the movie didn't deliver the action adventure, but the movie was meant and made for esoteric needs. So in the movie, it's talking about Alec Baldwin being in Tibet. You know Tibet has your Tibetan masters. And he was a white man who was like a savage running around. He met up with a Tibetan master, and the Tibetan master changed him around and gave him some juice. But he told him he had this knife, and this knife had some actual two people on it. And this knife would do all kinds of things through the air and try to kill you. But he controlled Alec Baldwin by the knife. Because Alec Baldwin represented the white man and wasn't the original man, so he could never take the knife away from him because this man was an original man. Even though they have Asian, they talk about an original man other than the white man. But they're talking about the original black man. So they tell him, I got you now. So you got to go out and do good. So he goes to New York and he's controlling people with his mind because he learned some stuff from the Tibetan master. Until this other person from Asia comes over who was an original person. And he had taken the knife from Alec Baldwin's master because he was the original person. So he said, you can't do nothing to me. I'm just like you. And may the best man win. And this whole thing is a battle on how they control the lives of people and how this particular Tibetan master is getting ready to take over the city. But yeah, they're going to make the original man evil though. You know, it's always the other way around. Yeah. But at the end of the movie, I'm not going to tell you the movie, but at the end of the movie, how he stopped the Tibetan master from taking over the city was just his mind. Because all of the stuff, how you run this world is based on in here. Tapping into that particular part of the mind that can kill up the crowd. The reason how they stopped him was this. Once they knocked him unconscious, they took him to the hospital and they took the frontal lobe of his brain off. So he said, he's trying to do some things, and the man said, well, you can't do nothing. And the doctor said, we took the frontal lobe of your brain off. He said, don't worry, most people don't even use that part of the brain over. You see what I'm saying? Because you don't use half the stuff. You see what I'm saying? And so they took the stuff, and that's one thing where the body comes from. That's right. So they're saying most people don't use that part. But this man was in there hollering because he knew that is the ultimate thing, to use that part of the brain. Gotta go see the movie. The Shadow. Real key movie. You see. Go see that particular movie because it is dealing with the actual stuff. Now we know that the Kaaba is the black stone that they took the Kaaba and they broke it off, and they took, some white people came with the Mecca and stole a piece of the Kaaba. Now ain't that something? They go and steal a piece of the Kaaba to Mecca. And that particular Kaaba to Mecca is nothing but melanin. And those people are walking around there saying that is God. Because they understand about the black stone what they used to understand. Now, this is some stuff that breaks down melanin. Because I'm going to get into this last little piece to show you exactly where we are. Set. See, you got to get out of the mythology of Osiris, because what happened was is when the people started trying to teach you about Egypt, they taught you the mythology that was actually dealing with mythical stories about how to behave. That was the mythology, but there's other esoteric keys in there. The god Sut, which is the first primordial god on the earth by the name of Al-Sut. There's no god that predates him. The god that you're talking about is called Al-Sut. And he means black. Another name for that name is Kim, which means black. An, which means Anubis, or Anpu, which means messenger. Sut, which means black, and An, which means the messenger. Sut-An, or Satan, they're talking about the black God. They just change it all around. This God, that is number one, you got to get God and the devil that they're talking about is one and the same. See what I'm saying? One and the same. Now, I'm not giving you no spookism stuff. I'm going to tell you how they change around how you can't get no doggone way. When they talk about that Satan, they're talking about you. They're talking about your most high God. And some of them worship you. Sut-An. Sut means Kim. The original word for Sut is Kim. One of the words is Kim, which means melanin. An, which means Anubis, which means doorway or gatekeeper, or the way. Sut-An means Satan, and the original word was Shaitan, which was a word that was worshipped in Lower Mesopotamia and Samaria. This talking about set title, it's not talking about no spooked up man underground. It's talking about the black God, because this particular part in them is calcified. So when they go up and raise this spiritual energy, they hear voices of the devil, which they call the devil. To you, it puts you over to the cross and crossing the cross of the tree of life. You see the symbology of the cross, that you have the cross. When you look at the Holy Kabbalah, This is the original cross. Right up top here, you see a cross. Once you cross over, you go into Keller, which means the crown of Christ. So when Jesus died on the cross, you all must die on the cross. You see what I'm saying? But with him, that crossing over point, he can't get to that part because his upper brain is not developed. So that becomes his Satan. But in actuality, we invented that word Satan for the simple fact, for political reasons, because we didn't want some other people, our brothers and sisters, to have the true knowledge. So what happened was this here. We got a little error. Some of our people was all worshiping the same God. Some of them left the part of Egypt or left the part of wherever they went, and they went to other parts of the world. So when they met up again, the name of the God they changed based on linguistic change. So when they met up again, each one started calling the other one God, the adversary of God. And this is where you get the word Satan from. Satan or Lucifer was supposed to have been the most high angel. But if man down here is God, then what does that mean to the angels in hell? They got to be God too. So the most high angel is talking about the most high God. God and the devil, this is one of the ultimate secrets of the universe. Once you tap into this, there can't nothing stop you. God and the devil is one and the same. It's just that the white man started taking your esoteric religion and making you scared. So you go to church in intense fear. And you can't get over the mythology because you are scared. You see what I'm saying? So you scared about going to hell, a hell that don't exist and a devil that don't exist. Because the ultimate personification of this devil on this earth, you know you catching hell by him right now. You understand what I'm saying? Because the devil in that Bible is like Mickey Mouse compared to the devil that you know on this particular ground. Because in order to write on his history, they got to write a whole room of books. And they still won't even get to reach the depths of where this particular person will go. That's why you got to go see the other movie, Natural Born Killers. Go see the movie Natural Born Killers, because the movie Natural Born Killers is not talking about mass murderers. It's talking about people. But in that case, they murder over 1 billion people on the earth. That means that all of them are mass murderers. You understand what I'm saying? That's why you got to go see the movie and take the one person out. But he was dropping in there. He said, when I first killed somebody, I knew I was free. He said, free? He said, I'm a natural born killer. He was talking about all white people because they killed for a sense of freedom. You see? He was dropping in the movie. And the whole time they kept showing the TV set and the society that makes him. But who made the damn society that we live in? You gotta watch the movie Natural Born Killers. Movie dropping all that. You see, it's a movie. People, a lot of people didn't get the movie. That's what they was talking about in that particular movie.
What about this new one that came out called Time Cop that came out yesterday?
That's right. There's another movie you gotta go see is Time Cop. Let me explain this Time Cop to you. Number one, it just came out.
Yesterday.
Time Cop. Time Cop is taken from the TV series Time Track. Time Cop. But it's taken from the TV series Time Track. So you're going to find out once you get these high levels that there's no difference in time. The white man already showed you that with his Philadelphia experiment. He tried to cloak a ship, and when they said cloak, he tried to make a ship go invisible. But they ended up turning a time in the time continuum, and the ship went from 1943 to 1983. Real true story. True story. They got a guy that lived in Senegal, but we don't study these things. The Montauk experiment, the Philadelphia experiment. Go rent the movie The Philadelphia Experiment. You thought it was... that movie. You can rent that blockbuster. That's talking about time, so there's no such thing as time. Now, I'm going to tell you what really happened to us. Now, what happened to us was this. We were on a course like this, and everything was harmonious. And we did some stuff that put a crack in the time continuum, and some of us got trapped. Some of them went to the alternative world that's going peace and harmony right now. That's the subterranean world. It's in another time dimension. That's why the white man can't get down there. The other one of us went to, the other group of us went into what we call now. There's two timelines exist in time simultaneously. But one went this way and one this way, and you catching hell in this timeline, but you got to get to that timeline. You understand what I'm saying? So right now, how you get to that timeline is through in your mind. Alternative timelines. It's all different things. You got to understand these white people study this particular stuff. Time travel is possible. Get the book, The Montauk Project. They've been doing these particular things. The difference between you and somebody else that's not suffering is based on time and dimensions. Okay? Now, just go a few more things, and then we can deal with some stuff. I want to try to find this part. I hope to God, this is stupid of me. I came here and I didn't even, I'm hoping I can find this particular part, and I knew we didn't have that much time, but I figured I did pretty good for an hour, hell, you know, based on the time. Anyway, it says, this is a particular book here. It's called Kundalini, The Evolutionary Enlightenment, edited by John White, because it's got several people that's talking about it. And in here it tells you in this book, it says that the mysteries of ancient Egypt mostly is lost because it means there was so much of it that we can never really get it back. They said to the world. They say, but in here, the carbonated ones, because you know the key to melanin is carbon, that's what makes it black. The carbonated ones hold the key, and are the only ones that can actually get back into that timeline, or get back into that. That's why this particular part here says that they fear the black races because their melanin clan is needed to unlock the advanced secrets to Sirius. Now that goes back to this particular part here. What was the name of the book? The name of the book is called. This book here is a complete study on different things. On there, it's got a whole section here on Kundalinis and UFOs. John White. Kundalini Evolutionary Enlightenment. This book here. If you want to buy some books on the Kundalini and all that spiritual stuff that raising you, buy this one because this one is the most complete because it got some of everything in it because it's edited. It doesn't have more than one scholar.
And it's by who?
John White. Edited by John White. Evolutionary Enlightenment. And all. You see. So this is one. They're talking about the actual carbonated ones. Now, we're going to a few other things. To show you what's getting ready to go down. The year 1995. Now these are going to the end time prophecies. Year 1995. Now, since you are going to some stuff. On April 8th, 9th, and 10th, we went to the Indian reservation and we tapped into this force called Thunderdog. Some of you heard about that on my tape. Thunderdog is a Native American spirit. They came and he granted us prosperity and all of this stuff and granted the people protection if they built this altar to him. So for you people at the end of the class, I tell you how to build a Thunderdog altar. Since then we were gone, on June 19th, we went to the actual Phoenix Mounds and we did another ritual. And then some of us went to what is called a green level. That's the level of Melchizedek, because Melchizedek is one of these things called a green one. Then we went on the hill horizon of the Nile because the Nile rises every July 23rd, which is our new year, the African new year, and Sirius rises. We went to Jacksonville, Florida, because Jacksonville, Florida is in actuality the other Nile Valley. They tell you that the Nile is the only one that flows upstream. But the Moors, all of you know the Moors know what you are. They said, no, there's a Nile here. They thought it was the Mississippi River, but that flows downstream. But Jacksonville, Florida, there's a river called St. John's River, and it flows upstream. That is the second Nile Valley to the Western Hemisphere. So on July 23rd, we went to that particular Nile. That was another initiation. Now, we got a host of spiritual psychic seers, but y'all go get a set. You get to a psychic, first thing you be telling them, what about me? I'm just going to get some money. All this old crazy stuff. When you should be asking them, when the world going to end? When this is getting ready to go on? When is this going on? When the white man going to move? We asking dumb questions. So they sent me about 7 or 8 psychics. And that's the only thing I use them for. And so the channels come correct, and they are verbatim once. And there's one in New York, one in Detroit, 2 in Detroit, 2 in Atlanta, and 1 in Philadelphia now. And all of them are active. So now one of the sisters in Jackson, Tennessee, she's so bad I could be talking to her on the phone. She's 600 miles away. And she could be in my bedroom looking at me while I'm talking to her on the phone 600 miles away. She can project and astral project and be there. Tell me everything in the room. I had her one day, I had the book, read the book. She read the book on the phone, 6 miles away. So we talking about this kind of spirituality. You understand what I'm saying? But yet everybody out here trying to obtain their conditions of this world. And they have me tapped into the spiritual world. You see what I'm saying? So everything you hear is all mundane. So even these Afrocentric scholars now, they have all come into the mundane about how can we have black political and economic advancement, and how can we teach all that kind of stuff here. So that's why after almost damn 10 years of the Afrocentric movement, you still asking the question, how the hell are we going to get out of this? Because they don't have the answers. Because they study history. But that's a historian. You're looking at them for black leaders. They don't have the answers. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you can't understand. So now, the sister from Tennessee told us, she said, oh, these God said that y'all got to come back down to Tennessee. Same place we invoked Thunderdog. So we went there on the 1st of this month. And then we met up with a mothership. For all you people, UFOs are real. Get with it, because the average white person, you go to talk to any white person, and they'll not only talk about it, they elaborate on it. We're the only people that
They're talking about it in New York now.
Right. UFOs are real. Why the devil you think that if a man can't tell you that he can't give you no food to eat and no shoes to put on your feet, but yet he gonna spend $9 billion in a Hubble telescope? You see what I'm saying? Some things just require common sense. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Some things you don't even have to question. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we should be adults now. You know, where the Bible tells you Ezekiel saw we way up in the middle of the sky. You see? All the live mama told you about the mother planes over 60 years ago. So we went to these mounds and hooked up with a mother plane. We hooked up with an actual mother plane, a UFO that came right over our heads. We hooked up with this particular thing. And immediately, I'm going to tell you this stuff. We met up with the first spiritual ancestor called Thunderdog. Right? We met up with this first spiritual ancestor called Thunderdog. We immediately was introduced to a guy by the name of Henry. I said, well, damn, Henry. I said, I can't take it. I said, Henry? I said, I tell the people that, they're going to damn me out. He said, Henry, what's your Egyptian name? And he gave me these funny letters. He said, well, this is who I was in ancient Egypt. He gave me these funny letters, but he said it's so above your vibration that y'all can't even calculate it. And I got the numbers and the letters, and I can't even understand what it was. But let me explain who Henry was. You see, anything that the people come and tell you on a spiritual basis, you shouldn't question. You should question anything on an economical, social, mundane, political level. That's the stuff that's been failing you. But anything on a spiritual realm, you shouldn't question. You understand what I'm saying? You don't question the Bible, and they tell you about miraculous stories in there. So why you don't think those stories can exist today? You see what I'm saying? So now we met up with this particular, he said, my name is Henry. I said, well, who are you? He said, I'm West Indian. He said, I am a cousin to Haile Selassie. But he said he died in 1849. That's the last time he was on earth. He said 1849. He said I was the actual aviator, or what you would call the person that was over Haile Selassie. You see, what the Rastafarians was talking about, they was talking right about the lineage of this particular king that was supposed to come. But these are the words of Haile Selassie. They tell you when Haile Selassie was a little young person, he used to draw a bird on the paper and it would fly off the page. You see what I'm saying? But what had happened is this. Henry said what happened was Haile Selassie, in this third dimension, the gods can come back and they can reincarnate, but they can get trapped in the third dimension and get trapped into this political and social mundane world. He got trapped and got into bed with the West, you see. And he got trapped into religious fundamentalism. So therefore, he did not realize who he was. If he would have realized his full God potential, they said you might have had a Messiah, and you could have got out of this. At the same time, now you got to understand Egyptian mythology. At the same time, there's a god Rahiru-Kahudi, there is the god Tahuti, who is the messenger. The one that was Tahuti was Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who both left the same year. You understand what I'm saying? But he fulfilled most of his prophecy. It's just that the people couldn't understand a certain amount of things. But he did teach. You see, and he was taught by this person who was not a Muslim that's not so spooked out. You understand what I'm saying? But they said, hey, Selassie got trapped in religious fundamentalism, and it was the Rastafarian movement who taught him who he was in the later life, and he was able to go to a point and get picked up on a ship. Both he and our Elijah Muhammad dealt the same way. Now, I'm just telling you what the people say. I mean, at this particular time and critical point in history, I'm not asking you to believe me, but I'm asking black people to start thinking in other avenues than what they can think of in the basic scope of things. That's all I'm asking. You understand what I'm saying? Because whether you like it or not, this stuff is going to be hooked up. You see what I'm saying? And so, he came and he told us this. He said, as of right now, there is no difference between the other dimensions and the physical dimensions. They are all one. The reason why you have not tapped in is because you are still asleep. You see, you are still asleep. They said we had to do it this way and rush this so-called hereafter, because if the white man knew what was going on, he would go crazy. You see what I'm saying? But okay, he would go crazy. Now, when we got off there, I said, well, is another plane coming? They said, yeah, Monday night, there's another plane coming. And Monday night, we got a meditation, and this thing came, but we couldn't see it. I said, well, why can't I see this stuff? They said, we cloak ourselves, which means we go invisible, because right now there's a lot of spiritual warfare. And the white man is advancing up to at least try to put up a fight. But we ain't got time to fight because we got to lift you all up. You see what I'm saying? Now, I said, so I said, well, what's getting ready to go down? He said, don't worry, you'll see it on TV. I said, well, what the hell's going on TV? Well, number one, they said...
Did they take up the last one?
Well, they told us that the government, this is what the spiritual world said, the government took out USA. And they took that stunt and run that lie where they ran the plane into the White House. You can't even get across the White House. And why is it when they ran the White House, President Bill Clinton supposed to be across the street because they couldn't fix the information? Oh, man, it's some dumb stuff. Then one of my boys, his father worked for the FAA, and the first thing they had out around the FAA is it was somebody from Cuba. Not from Cuba, but from Haiti. Oh, God, that letting you know right there the cracker into his conspiracy. But we fall for these things because we watch the news, and the news is a lie all the time. They're telling you now, if you want to get true information, now I'm going to hold that point. You know when you want to get true information? Don't read the New York Times, Atlanta Journal, or the Columbia State Paper. Don't read those. Go to the rags now. Yeah. Why? I'll tell you.
Yeah, we can grow in.
The rags, let me tell you what happened with the rags. You remember the rags used to tell lies on people. You remember in the 60s and the late 60s, the rags used to tell all these lies on people. Yeah. Remember that? Inquirer. What? And the inquiry stuff. What had happened was that the Hollywood element got smart and they started suing them. So they got sued a couple of times. Carol Burnett, Tom Selleck, and a couple of people. So they said, okay, y'all want to do this here. Hell, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, New York Times, they lied too, more than we did. Well, but you question them as, you look at them as an authority. They say, okay, we're going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start printing the truth. And that's going to even sound worse than a lie, because the truth is stranger than fiction. Well, so they say, but now we got the means on how to print truth even better than the actual newspaper, because we used to do the dirt. They go into somebody's trash can to get some information. Yes. So as a result, they started printing the truth in the rags. If you want to find out about the truth, you got to go to the rags now. You see what I'm saying? To the rags now. You see. First thing I had,
they tell little white lies.
They tell little stuff, but you got to realize, most of you, I guarantee you're going to find something. They have some way out stuff. But on the inside. But they'll tell you drops of truth. Now, to go back to what Hemmitt was saying, you're going to find some stuff on the news. Say what it was. They say it's going to be a bomb going to drop. I said, what bomb? They said, we see a whole lot of black people running. Then they said, I said, well, that's Haiti. They said, yeah, the bomb will be dropped on Haiti. Because they know that they can't go in Haiti with the two-something overture thing because they know they got their hands with before, with the vote done. But they know that they got to go to Haiti and they got to drop this bomb. That's how they did the Japanese. They couldn't fight the Japanese on it. You see what I'm saying? Then they got their hands kicked. They went in Korea, got their hands kicked. They can't fight a war no more because their time limit is up. You see what I'm saying? So they lost all the wars. So this we ain't going up in Haiti because we know what happened when they beat the French behind and all of this with the vote done, because the vote done people said in the USA, we're going to fight you with a spiritual war. Come on. So now, just then, the sister Tamakita, she was doing the translation. Her mother came up and said, I just saw a vision of some black men in Washington, D.C. arguing. She said it was a congressional black Congress. She said, no, what on this weekend? There was arguing. Because remember now, most white people are saying we don't understand why the government is wanting to go into Haiti. Yes. doggone Uncle Tom Negroes that want to put them in it.
That's right.
You see with this Arab and all these congressional black caucus and all these old buck hands from Uncle Tom Negroes. I met the dude, I went to Benedict with his son, the head of the NAACP down in Greenville. This man and all. And he only claims disagreement with white people. So now, they're the ones that want to put them in there talking about this democracy. I wouldn't wish this democracy on a dog. No. You see what I'm saying? If this is the brand of democracy, I wouldn't wish this on a dog. So what happened was this.
Double check.
She said they was in the room and they was hollering, they was fussing because they said that the government, Clinton and them, had betrayed them because they just wanted to go in and establish democracy, but they ended up dropping the bomb. So they was up in there hollering. You see what I'm saying? Going crazy. These are some transmissions that they actually gave. They say, don't worry about none of the small stuff. They don't worry about none of the small stuff. Now, you know, every end prophecy ends in the year 2000 based on the pyramid, based on all the prophecies. But any fool knows that this is the Gregorian calendar, which is 10 years behind the original Sothic calendar based on Sirius. This is the year 2004, and most Chinese will tell you this is the year of the dog star, and the year of, this is the year 2004. So we are right in the middle of Armageddon, but the revolution will not be televised, because you got the white man been going in place and he been dropping bombs until you don't understand when the time is over. But I'm telling you what went on. You see, based on the experiences, we are right in the brink of things. But people think they got another 50 years. But they already told you that God won't come like a thief in the night. Now, I know this sounds like religious fundamentalism because they've been saying it's been the end of the world for the last longest. But remember, they don't have the complete science because they ain't tapped in. The actual Thunderdog, not Thunderdog, but the AWAS that I got in touch with on October 16, 1993, who goes all the way back to Atlantis and Lemuria, because most of your black scholars don't want to deal with Atlantis and Lemuria, because number one, they're out to prove to white people about black history and not trying to tell the truth to black people. And we know doggone well every white person claims it. You don't want it, I claim it. There's a whole other occult realm that we haven't even got to. I look downstairs, I don't see no books on the metaphysical. And that's our science that they're using. You see what I'm saying? Because we stuck in history. How many times you gotta know that you were black and you were the rulers of all of this? After a while, your history becomes a drug, and you go right back to sleep. Well, that's why every 20 years you go right back to sleep, because you refuse to take it to a step higher. Okay. Now, AWAS came to a holy, sanctified woman came to this woman in Jacksonville, Florida. Came to her last year, and she told my friend Robert Flowers, who went to the lounge with her, she said, you know, I didn't want to tell you this. She said, a tall black man in his 30s with an Arab dress, with a gold sash, came to me and told me this last year, 93. He said, next year, 1994, they're going to be fires that's going to start, and the white man ain't going to be able to put them out. Come on. Now, whether you know it or not, they start putting it on the news. California. What they didn't tell you is this here. Them fires been burning since the 1st of July, and it's still burning. The reason why I know, because the partner that went down to the mountains with me, he's a fireman, and they already done told him last week they want him to volunteer to go out there and fight. You see what I'm saying? You got to understand. Like Mama told you, America going to burn for 15 years. This stuff is going on all around us. Now, the reason why California has got to go into the ocean, because California represents the complete West. And California is the word, it comes from the god Kali, the black cycle. In India, Kali, the Kali Yuga, the in cycle, the black cycle. The goddess Kali, the goddess of destruction, because her name is Sekhmet. You really know what's really getting ready to go down, you need to go get a book called, you need to go get a papyrus called The Destruction of Mankind. It's talking about how they're going to take this beast off the planet. 3,000 years old from Kemet, and it's accurate. And it's talking about Sekhmet. Now, the Kali Yuga is a form of the Egyptian Sekhmet, and the word California comes California. And it is the Kundalini chakra that has to break off into the ocean so it can shut the chain of command for the whole earth. This is how Gaia ignites herself to a spiritual level. Gaia means the earth. All this stuff is going down, but nobody ain't dealing with it. But see, I'm not no advanced when we're dealing with stuff on the high science here. You see what I'm saying? Now, on a high science. So this is the stuff that's actually going down. Now, there's another group, there's some stuff coming from England. Little $5 book you can get on the Necromonicon. Now, there's a guy by the name of H.P. Lovecraft that was this black, he was a white man, but he was a author. He had tapped into some realms and they started revealing some things to him, but he was writing these things in fictional books, but they actually panned out to be the real thing. And so he had to invent certain names to explain the characters, because come to find out these particular characters was the most primal forces that first fashioned this planet. They're called chaos gods, melanin gods. Chaos means melanin. They're called chaos gods. And they say, and so since then, they got a whole stuff in a study in England. Now, obviously, it's got to be something that's very serious, because the white man won't let it in the country. Like, I was with my boys, I said, well, you got some more stuff on this chaos stuff? They said, well, the guy hadn't come back from England, because, a lot of stuff is banned. So they got to get on a plane, go to England, buy the books over there, and bring them back here. You see. Now, this particular one is called the Necromonicon. It's called these dead chaos gods. Necromonicon. This Necromonicon. You'll see, I think they'll have it in the introduction of this book, Chaos Magic. Now, in here, he said, they tell you the Necromonicon is some primal forces so powerful that, so that if you invoke them the wrong way, they can destroy the earth in 5 minutes. But they say the Necromonicon is nothing but the higher self for you. Every person, you got a higher self, a higher spiritual self. Once you raise the Kundalini chakras, you go into your higher self, your holy guardian angel. That's what the Necromonicon is. That's nothing but your higher self. But they say they want to manifest themselves down on earth so they can pick the earth back up. They say, but they're having problems because the people, the only people that can stand the force of their bodies and stuff is melanated people. And they're all asleep.
They're all what?
They're all asleep.
Oh.
That's the only kind of vessel that they can handle. You see, if they go into white people, they will combust, they burn up. There's a whole book on spontaneous combustions, how some of these angels come down and try to take a body. They can snatch some of them, but some of them defy you so much if they do it the wrong way, the body burns up. Whole books on this. And you get the Philadelphia experiment, when they ran that ship through that time vortex in 1942, which is a true story, they was burning all up. You see. So these Necromonicon, what they're talking about is these chaos gods. So the reason why this stuff is very dangerous and very dangerous because the white man and white boys are trying to use this as a magical system. You see? They're trying to use this as a magical system. And England and Germany is at hard work because they're trying to get this stuff so they can save themselves, but it can only work through melanin. So what happens with them, it runs them crazy, kills them. Now, Aleister Crowley, who was supposed to be the most famous ceremonial magician, was actually a black man. Based on the reading, he was a priest in Atlantis. That had his hand on creating this mutant. And as a result, he became one of his people on the outside. But they tell you, all of the European people tell you, they got some stuff called Enochian magic. Enoch is the Hebrew Tahuti. And there's some stuff they got out of the Library of Alexandria. And so they had this guy, John Dees, I think he was an assistant, a magician for Queen Elizabeth. And so what happened was, he would put this whole Enochian system down. Now the thing about it is this here, about him, was the Enochian is nothing but these Necromonicon gods, and the only person who was able to go up the Enochian system without getting messed up was Aleister Crowley, because he had some melanin. Because when you go up in there, when you start going up and tapping in these reasons in your mind, these gods come in and give you gunshot wounds, stab wounds, kill you. So a lot of people die from this stuff because they can't take it. Now this doesn't mean that you're supposed to go and start doing some divination system, but it's trying to tell you the type of power that's getting ready to go down. This stuff is real. This stuff is real. You see. And this is the stuff that's getting ready to go down. You see. So these are some things that's getting ready to go on. And spiritually, so now when we're talking about this particular melanin, is the reason why a lot of the people, believe it or not, the reason why a lot of the people, they still on the chemical and the scientific level is because really, when they're talking about spirituality, they're talking about spirituality like the white man teaches you how to talk. You start talking about a philosophy type thing. And they don't even understand that the actual, these texts, these pyramid texts they're talking about, archetypes of collective unconsciousness is also inside of you. That's why you tap in through it through meditation. You understand what I'm saying? Through meditation. So I'm going to read this last little piece, and then we can get online, because I'm quite sure it's past an hour. What is it, about 2 hours now?
Hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
A little over an hour.
A little over an hour. So I'm going to read this last little piece, bear with me, to show you what melanin is. See, what people fail to allude to is melanin. Melanin is actually none other than the soul, despite what everybody tells you. It says, the human being can not only but be born again, be led back to the primal material, which is talking about melanin, the black dot in you, and out of which he comes forth according to his own astral nature. They're talking about your nature is based on the primal material, melanin, the black dot. Remember that the black holes in space, which is the goddess Nut, is nothing. Those black holes in space that they're talking about is in you. That's what it is. It's in you. You are nothing but a microcosm of the macrocosm. And because that black hole, it can create that star, because the core of every star is that black dot. Every man, every woman is a star. So it says you must be led back. You must be led back into the primal material of your astral nature. Before man can be exalted, which means rise to the spiritual level, he must be humble. And before he can ascend to heaven, he must walk for 3 days in hell. That's the Amenta, the black dot, the number 13 to the white man. Darth, where he gets Darth Vader from. You understand? On the Holy Kabbalah, where he says the devil that put the black man in the black suit, James Earl Jones' voice, as a strong black man's voice, to tell you he's from the Death Star Sirius. Okay? He says he must walk through. He must walk through 3 days of hell. This is the condition of the alchemical blackness, melanin, whose central darkness, melanin, has replied thought extends over 3 days and nights, even to the total darkness of 40 days and 40 nights. Even Jesus remained for 40 days after his resurrection on earth before he ascended to heaven. They're talking about spiritual matters, on how you go up the spiritual vessels in you. Not a historical story of some man dying and was resurrected in 40 days. Therefore, you must go through the gate of darkness. Dark, 13, black dot, 418. 8 plus 1 plus 4 is 48 is 13. 418. Which is melanin, the great birth, bringing of a cosmic substance. You must go through, therefore, you must go through the gate of darkness if you want to apply, if you want to win the light of paradise of white in heaven. They're talking about the actual paradise of heaven. You must go through the black dot. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the last key to this thing is this. They're saying that the key that they put in the last, because actually the last prophet of Allah was not the Holy Quran, it was the Book of Law, which is the second part of the book of coming forth by day and night. The second part that was given by 1904. Most of these, all these so-called Egyptologists, they stuff failed to get them. They didn't even know the white man had the second part of the book of coming forth by day received by this cosmic entity called Awas in 1904 by Aleister Crowley. Why so much interest in this man? In 1904, he received the second part of the book of coming forth by day. Because remember, the original Christ said, my name is Har Marku, which means word made truth. Which means all the gods that you so-called claim to be the Christ, after me, I'm going to make myself true in the end. And the last holy book to come down to in the 19th century, in this century, was 1904, was a book called the Book of Law. And it took over 300 books to explain it, and they still don't know what the hell it is. It's the most powerful document on the planet, and it was given by this particular entity called Awas, who is nothing but the Sumerian counterpart of Heru, the god Heru, or the god Harpocrates, which is the melanin chaos god. Now, in the Holy Quran, they do give you in the star. They say the surah of the star. They say this is the God who created male and female from one single ejaculated semen and will create all things anew. He is the Lord of Sirius. It says in the Quran, the latent Christian Old Testament, therefore, is nearer to our own time. They're saying that the Old Testament was before the Quran. So there's some pieces missing. See, the Muslims tell you, no throughout in to tell you, you're supposed to take the Quran and the Bible and put them together and read them, and it's like a star and walk into the next life. You see, and you separate the two and fight, and they were supposed to be meant to put together. So they tell you, and so the greatest people ever did, Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the greatest man that ever both teach from the Bible and the Quran. One thing about Farrakhan that we can say about him is he was able, successful to do this. This is why he got the masses of the people going to see him. But that's here and I say because there's a whole lot of stuff on that too. You see, because the ego comes in and messes up everybody. Now it says, the Testament therefore is much, the Quran is therefore much nearer to our time. It says, it is in some respect an addendum, which is an appendage to the prophet of the Jesus of Nazareth. It says, sacredly, the page was of not laden terrible warnings of the final destruction from the start. It says, this is another translation of the same part of Sirius, and it was him, the second creation. They're talking about this 26,000 year period. You remember that? Well, we don't have no more tape, but anyway, we got it on video. This 26,000 year period. You see, the other one was the other 26,000 year period going into Atlantis and Lemuria. You see what I'm saying? Now, it says, a second creation, which is talking about now, and it says, he enriches and causes to possess. He is the Lord of Sirius. He destroys ancient Atlantis. That's talking about ancient Atlantis. So the Noah story is talking about the Atlantean floods, because there was never any Noah, what's called, it was talking about Atlantis. That was the old world. We're talking about cycles. So it says, when we talk about these laden warners, what the Quran is saying, it is talking about the arks or the vessels. It's not talking about the Noah deluge. It's talking about arks, flying arks. A ship, even though that was a ship, it was talking about flying arks, flying saucers. And it says, and these vessels like it, we embark. And we please, and if we please, we drown them. They're talking about this particular motherships. And this is the key. Throughout the Quran is great repetitions of a flood theme and many references of destruction of the stone-charged winds. Yet it refers to a future ark, or arks, rather than the ark of the Noah deluge. Note, in the association with the Lord of Sirius in the Quran, and you get the Quran and look at the surah of the star. In the Lord of Sirius in the Quran, it says the star can only be Sirius itself. In pre-dynastic times, the Lord of Sirius by the Egyptians would be Osiris, which is God of the perfect black. So that God up there is black. You understand what I'm saying? God of the perfect black. Okay. And no, the royal we, Aset, Osar, and Heru, perhaps an entire royal, an entire remnants of the Osirian race. Now, what did this man just say in England? I know he just said, perhaps an entire remnants of the Osirian race. And God-like men, whether in God's omnipotent and powerful, merciful, and yet universal created beings. What this man is actually saying is that the part of the Quran that was talking about the star and the Lord of Osiris is not talking about, they're not talking about icon or mythology of an Osiris god. They're talking about an entire Osirian race. Black race is getting ready to take this thing back over, but it's talking about astronomical indications other than what you would call some spooked out stuff. You see what I'm saying? A God, Jesus coming back with a long robe on with a sword. Like I said, he come with that sword with this crap, he gonna get killed. But we're talking about that. Now, what they're saying is this here. What I'm saying, and basically what I'm saying is meditate, diet, meditate. You see what I'm saying? Getting into spiritual purposes, and like the Bible tells you, within the next couple of months you'll be in the world, but not of the world. But just remember this. All the dead people automatically got a ticket into the next world. It's the ones that woke up now that have better responsibility of being witness to this stuff. Because for whom much is given, much is required. You see what I'm saying? So the dead people don't worry about them. They already got a ticket in there. Because they say that God takes care of sick people and fools and both of them. You see what I'm saying? But they're saying that this stuff is about us. That's the main game. This stuff is about us. Now, the prophecy says the year 1995, based on the South Pacific, all hell getting ready to break loose. We already done had the Empress, the woman that owned all that land, said she saw the vision where she was stepping across black people like this. She said she saw me was dead, laying all out in the street, and she was stepping across. She said it, and we got 7 other spiritual sisters said 1995, this stuff is coming. But it ain't talking about no destruction. We've already seen the world. One of the sisters seen it, and she said about a physical city. But this ain't talking about no stuff. If the Christians are right, in a sense, but they are all course because they know the church is going to misled them until they just go in there hollering and shout. They don't know when this thing is going on. So what I'm saying is, they've already seen it. You can't even fathom what's coming down the tube of you. Imagine your most greatest desire and dream get ready to be fulfilled. Come on. That's what's coming down the tube for black people. One sister already saw this crystal city we talk about. She said we couldn't even describe this so easily. This is what's coming down the tube for us. But you're trying to hang on to this old world, which is this white man society. And the first thing he's going to do, he's going to give you them reparations. Try to keep your mind off the eye of the prize. Tell him, I don't want 30 pieces of silver. I want the whole universe, because that's what's promised to you.
Who's all alive, Bobby?
That's right.
Who's all alive?
All alive. Ain't that something? Now tell you, for instance, there's one thing in the Kabbalah says, that the man on low, that's you, say that God is on high in heaven. While the angels in heaven say that God is below. Talking about you. They pray to you. That's what time it is right now. They waiting on us. Peace, brother.